Hello and welcome to Super English Talks, the channel that helps you improve your English step by step. I'm so glad you're here because today we're going to talk about something really important: inputs and outputs in English learning. These two things are the key to speaking and understanding English better. In this episode, I'll explain what they are, how they work, and why they're so powerful for your fluency. What are inputs and outputs? You might be asking, what are inputs and outputs? Why do they matter when learning English? Don't worry, I'll explain everything in a simple way that's easy to understand. Whether you're just starting or have been learning English for a while, this episode will help you learn how to train your brain to think in English naturally. How did you learn your first language? Think about how you learned your first language as a child. Did you study grammar rules? Did you memorize word lists?
No.
You listened. You watched. You absorbed the language around you. You heard your parents talk, you listened to conversations, and over time, you began to understand. Then one day, you spoke your first words. That's input and output in action. Input equals what you hear and read, language coming in. Output equals what you say and write, language going out. This is how you naturally learned your first language, and you can do the same with English. Why is this important? Many learners feel stuck. They watch videos, read books, and listen to English. But when it's time to speak, they freeze. They don't know what to say or feel nervous. If that sounds like you, you're not alone, and you're in the right place. In this episode, I'll help you understand how input and output work together. Avoid common mistakes that slow your progress. Find the right balance so you can use English, not just learn it. Because remember, we're not learning English just to pass tests. We're learning it to communicate, express ourselves, and connect with others. What you'll learn today. What is input? Listening and reading equals the foundation. What is output? Speaking and writing equals fluency tools. How to balance them. Mistakes to avoid. Simple tips you can start using today. Sound good? Stick with me to the end. These tips could truly change the way you learn English. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Code Your English so you don't miss future episodes. Let's get started and explore the world of English input and output. What is input in language learning? In language learning, input is the English you receive and absorb, mostly through listening and reading. It's everything that enters your brain and helps you understand the language before you start using it in speaking or writing. Why is input so important? Let's think about how children learn their first language. Before they ever say a word, they spend months just listening to their parents, to the sound around them, to how words are used. They watch people's faces, hear the same words again and again, and slowly begin to understand. Then one day, they say their first words like mama or dog. That's how input works. Your brain gathers English over time, and eventually, it becomes ready to speak or write. The same thing happens when you're learning English as a second language. A simple example. Let's say Sarah wants to improve her English. Every day, she listens to an English podcast for 20 minutes, reads one short news article. At first, she doesn't understand everything, and that's okay. But over time, her brain starts to absorb new words and phrases. A few months later, she notices she can understand conversations more easily, and even starts using some of the same phrases in her own speaking. That's the power of input. What counts as input? Input is anything you hear or read in English, like listening to podcasts, songs, or conversations, watching movies, YouTube videos, or TV shows, reading books, news articles, or social media posts. Every time you do these things, your brain is collecting new words,
grammar patterns,
natural sentence structure, even if you don't realize it. Why input comes before output? You can't speak or write what you haven't first heard or read. Input is the foundation of language learning, just like bricks are the foundation of a house. If you want to speak English fluently, you need to fill your brain with English first. And that means getting as much good input as possible every single day. Why input is the foundation of fluency? Input gives your brain the building blocks it needs to form sentences, express your thoughts, and communicate naturally. Many English learners struggle because they don't get enough real input. They spend too much time memorizing grammar rules or vocabulary lists without actually hearing or seeing those words used in real conversations. This can make English feel awkward or hard to remember when it's time to speak. But when you get lots of input, English starts to feel automatic. You don't have to stop and think about grammar rules. Instead, you naturally use correct sentence patterns, just like native speakers. That's the magic of input. The more English you see and hear, the more your brain absorbs it, and the easier it becomes to speak and write fluently. Types of input: passive versus active. Not all input is the same. There are two main kinds. 1. Passive input, background exposure. This happens when you're not fully focused, but English is still around you. Examples: playing a podcast while cooking or driving, watching a movie with English subtitles, but not paying full attention, listening to English music while doing chores. Passive input helps your ears get used to the sounds, rhythm, and tone of English. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain is still learning. Important: passive input is helpful, but not enough on its own. It builds comfort, but not fluency. 2. Active input, focus listening and reading. Active input is when you give your full attention to what you're hearing or reading. Examples: listening closely to an English podcast and trying to catch every word. Watching a video in English without subtitles and focusing on sentence patterns. Reading an article or story and stopping to check new vocabulary. This kind of input makes your brain work harder, and that's a good thing. You begin to notice grammar patterns. Learn how native speakers express ideas. Remember vocabulary better. Active input leads to faster improvement because you're training your brain to understand and use English more deeply. Best results: combine both passive and active input. For fast and steady improvement, use passive input to surround yourself with English daily. Use active input to deeply understand and learn new things. Together, they create a strong foundation for fluency. Long practical examples of how input improves skills. Let's look at a couple of real examples. Example 1. Listening growth over time. Daniel starts listening to English podcasts every morning while commuting. At first, he understands only a few words, but he keeps going. After a few weeks, he notices he can catch more phrases. Some expressions begin to sound familiar. His listening confidence improves. Later, during a conversation, he uses one of the phrases he heard on the podcast without even thinking about it. That's input turning into output. Example 2. Reading and vocabulary power. Aisha reads a short English story every night. She highlights new words and checks their meanings. Over time, she begins to recognize those words in conversations. She starts using them when she speaks or writes. Her grammar improves because she sees how sentences are built naturally. She didn't memorize the grammar, she absorbed it through reading. Real-life examples of how input improves your English. Let's look at two simple examples that show how powerful input can be. Example 1. Learning through listening. Imagine you listen to an English podcast every day on your way to work. At first, you only catch a few words,
but you keep going.
after a few weeks, you start to recognize common words and phrases. You begin to understand full sentences without translating in your head. After a few months, you can answer simple questions more confidently. Speaking becomes easier because your brain has learned from what you've heard.
Why?
Your brain absorbs enough input to respond naturally. Example 2. Learning through reading. Now imagine you read an English short story every night before bed. At first, you need to check the dictionary often. But over time, you start recognizing more words. You understand sentences more quickly. You notice how English grammar works without needing to study rules. After a few months, your writing improves because you've seen real English in action. You can use what you've read when writing or speaking.
Why?
Your brain collected useful input just by reading regularly. How much input do you need to see progress? This is a common question. The answer depends on how much time you spend with English and how focused you are. But here are some helpful estimates. Listen for 30 minutes a day, you may see improvement in 3 to 6 months. Read for 15 minutes a day, your vocabulary and sentence skills will grow within a few months. Combine both, 1 hour listening plus 30 minutes reading daily. You could reach a conversational level in about a year. These are not strict rules, but they show one important thing. The more English input you get, the faster you improve. Final thought. Input is your fuel. Think of input as fuel for your English. If you don't feed your brain with enough English through listening or reading, you won't have the materials you need to speak or write well. But if you expose yourself to English every day, you'll learn new words naturally. You'll start to think in English. You'll feel more confident when you speak or write. So don't worry about being perfect. Just keep listening and reading every day, and your English will grow stronger over time. What is English output? Welcome back. In the last section, we talked about input, how listening and reading help you absorb English. Now, let's talk about the other half of language learning, output. Definition of output: Cambridge style plus simple. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, output means the amount of something that is produced by a person, machine, or system. In language learning, output means the English that you produce, mainly by speaking and writing. It's how you express your thoughts and use what you've learned. You might understand English perfectly through input, but if you don't practice output, it's hard to communicate your ideas clearly. Real-life example. Music analogy. Think about this. Imagine someone who listens to music every day, but never tries to play an instrument. They may enjoy music and recognize songs, but can they play music themselves? Probably not. It's the same with English. If you only listen and read without speaking or writing, you'll understand English, but struggle to use it fluently. Example. John's story. John has watched English movies for months. He understands a lot, but when it's time to speak, he feels nervous and forgets words. So, John makes a change. He starts speaking out loud every day. He writes a short English journal each evening. At first, he makes lots of mistakes, but that's okay. Over time, John becomes more confident and starts using English naturally. Moral of the story: to become fluent, you need to use the language. Why output is important. Many learners spend a lot of time listening and reading input, but avoid speaking and writing output because they're scared of making mistakes. But here's the truth. You can't become fluent without using English actively. Speaking and writing turn what you've learned into real communication skills. They help your brain practice, remember, and improve faster. 2 types of English output. There are 2 main types of output. Speaking, using your voice to communicate. Examples: talking with a friend, answering questions out loud, or joining conversations. Writing, using words to express your thoughts. Examples: writing messages, keeping a journal, or posting on social media. Both are important, and both help you become more fluent. Think of it as a workout for your brain. Just like athletes train their muscles to get stronger, you need to train your brain by speaking and writing in English often. Why is output so important? Let's use an example. Imagine trying to learn swimming. You watch videos, read tips, and study every technique. But if you never get in the water, will you learn to swim?
No.
You have to practice in real life. The same thing goes for English. Input, listening, and reading helps you understand, but you only become fluent by using the language, by speaking and writing. Here's why output is essential. It helps you remember more. When you speak or write, your brain works harder to recall words and grammar, which strengthens memory. It builds confidence. The more you use English, the more comfortable you feel. Practice removes fear and hesitation. It shows your weak areas. When you try to speak or write and get stuck, you discover what you still need to learn or review. It trains you to think in English. Output reduces the need to translate from your native language. Your thoughts start flowing in English naturally. 2 main types of output. Just like input, output comes in 2 main forms. Number 1. Planned output. Prepare, then use English. Planned output is when you think first, then speak or write. You have time to organize your thoughts, choose your words, and correct mistakes before expressing them. Examples of planned output: writing an essay or article, preparing a class presentation, drafting an email or message,
Practicing a script or speech.
writing a journal entry. Why it's useful: helps you focus on correct grammar and vocabulary, builds writing and sentence-forming skills, boosts confidence before speaking. Try this. Write a few sentences in a journal every day. Describe your day, your thoughts, or your goals. This helps turn your ideas into structured English. Number 2. Spontaneous output. Speak or write on the spot. Spontaneous output is unplanned, real-time communication. You don't have time to prepare. You speak or write as ideas come to your mind. Examples of spontaneous output: talking to a friend without planning, answering a question in class or a meeting, making small talk while shopping or traveling, leaving voice messages, participating in online chats or forums. Why it's powerful: trains you to respond quickly in English, builds real conversational fluency, prepares you for unexpected situations, travel, work, emergencies, etc. Try this. Record yourself speaking about a topic for 1 to 2 minutes. Don't prepare, just speak. Listen to the recording and note areas to improve. Input plus output equals fluency. The complete language learning formula. Fluency doesn't happen by magic. It comes from consistent practice using 2 key ingredients. Input equals what you absorb, listening plus reading. Output equals what you produce, speaking plus writing. Why you need both. Input builds understanding, grows vocabulary, improves comprehension. Passive, easy to start. Output builds speaking and writing ability, strengthens memory, improves expression. Active pushes you to grow. Too much input without output equals you understand but can't speak. Too much output Without input equals you speak, but with limited vocabulary or grammar. The secret? Combine both daily. That's how your brain connects what you know to what you say. The language fluency cycle. Input: you listen and read to collect new words, sounds, and patterns. Brain processing: your brain stores and connects this knowledge. Output: you use that knowledge in real conversations and writing. Feedback loop: mistakes help you improve and refine what you've learned. This cycle repeats, and every round makes you more confident and fluent. Final message. The more input you get, the more you understand. The more output you practice, the more fluent you become. The more consistent you are, the faster you improve. Fluency is built, not born. 1 hour a day can change your life. Combining input plus output for fluency. The goal: balance. Too much input, listening/reading. You might understand, but not speak well. Too much output, speaking/writing. You'll lack the vocabulary and grammar from real English exposure. To become fluent, you need a daily mix of both. 1. How to build a daily routine. Even with limited time, you can improve by combining small chunks of input and output throughout the day. Example routine: 30 to 60 minutes total. Time: activities, skill type. Morning: listen to a 10 to 15-minute podcast or read an article. Input. Midday: talk out loud or record a voice message summarizing it. Output. Evening: read a short story or watch a YouTube video in English. Input. Before bed: write 3 to 5 sentences about your day in a journal. Output. Mix short and long sessions. 5 to 10-minute speaking or writing practice is still powerful if done daily. Focus on consistency, not perfection. Start with short sessions and grow your stamina. Keep it fun and personal. You'll stay motivated longer if your learning materials match your interests. Ideas. Watch your favorite show in English. Listen to music you enjoy and learn the lyrics. Read topics you're passionate about: sports, fashion, tech, etc. Speak about your real thoughts, not just textbook topics. Quick practice challenge: do this daily. Speak in English for 5 minutes. Write 3 to 5 sentences about your day. That's it. Simple, powerful, and highly effective. No matter how busy you are, you can fit English into your day. Here are practical routines based on different lifestyles. Number 1. Routine for students. Students often have more flexible schedules, allowing time for focused practice. Morning input. Listen to an English podcast 15 minutes while getting ready. Afternoon output. Write a short paragraph about what you learned in class. Evening input plus output. Watch a 30-minute English TV show and repeat phrases aloud. Extra tip: join a conversation club or practice with a language partner weekly. Number 2. Routine for workers. Busy professionals can still make progress by using small breaks wisely. Morning input. Listen to a podcast or audiobook during your commute, 20 minutes. Lunch break output. Write a short email or message in English. Evening input plus output. Watch a 20-minute English video, then summarize it out loud. Extra tip: if you work in an English-speaking environment, use English with coworkers whenever possible. Number 3. Routine for very busy people. If your time is very limited, no problem. Focus on micro-practice. Morning input. Read an English quote or headline 5 minutes. Throughout the day, think in English while doing tasks. E.g., now I'm making coffee. Evening output. Studio microphone, record a 1-minute voice message in English about your day. Extra tip: use language learning apps during breaks or while waiting in line. How to improve fluency with a mix of both. Fluency is not about memorizing rules. It's about repeating the input-output cycle every day. Input gives your brain the vocabulary, grammar, and sentence structure. Output helps you activate what you learned and form responses naturally. The winning formula: listen, speak about it. Read, write about it. Even 5 to 10 minutes of output daily can make a major difference over time. How to improve fluency with a good mix. A balanced routine helps you speak more naturally and confidently. Here are simple techniques to combine input and output. Shadowing. Listen to a sentence and repeat it immediately, mimicking the speaker's tone and rhythm. Great for improving pronunciation and fluency. Speaking after reading. Read an article or story, then explain it in your own words. Helps your brain form sentences quickly and naturally. Writing plus speaking. Write a short story or paragraph, then read it out loud. This strengthens grammar, structure, and boosts speaking confidence. Use the 1:1 rule. For every 10 minutes of listening or reading, try to speak or write for at least 10 minutes. This ensures you're not just absorbing English, you're actively using it. Why consistency is the key to fluency. Many learners make the mistake of studying hard but inconsistently. Here's why daily practice beats cramming. Language is a habit. Practicing every day, even 15 to 30 minutes, builds a lasting habit. Your brain retains vocabulary and structures more easily with regular exposure. 2 learner examples. Anna studies for 15 minutes every day. Listens to short podcasts, writes, and speaks daily. After 3 months, she feels more fluent and confident. John studies once a week for 3 hours. He forgets what he learned between sessions. Progress is slow and frustrating. Lesson: daily small steps are more powerful than big, rare efforts. The perfect daily routine summary. A well-rounded English learning routine includes input listening plus reading. Absorb new words, phrases, and grammar. Output speaking plus writing. Use what you learn to build fluency. Daily practice 10 to 30 minutes is enough, as long as it's consistent. Fun topics: choose subjects you enjoy, sports, travel, movies, etc. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Learning English takes time, and many learners fall into the same traps. Here's how to stay on track. Mistake number 1. Too much input, too little output. Listening and reading a lot, but rarely speaking or writing. You may understand English well, but struggle to speak or write clearly. Fix. Start using what you learn. Speak about what you read. Write a journal. Practice aloud. Mistake number 2. Too much output, not enough input. Trying to speak a lot without enough listening or reading. You might run out of vocabulary and form unnatural sentences. Fix. Feed your brain new words and patterns. Listen and read regularly to fuel your output. Would you like me to continue with the rest of the common mistakes section? A recap of input plus output equals fluency. Or start compiling this entire guide into a printable PDF or ebook format. Mistake number 3. Fear of making mistakes in output. Many learners avoid speaking or writing because they're afraid of making mistakes. But mistakes are not the enemy. They're the path to fluency. Even native speakers make them. How to fix it? Accept mistakes as part of learning. Every mistake is a step toward improvement. Practice with supportive people. Find a tutor, teacher, or language partner who helps you build confidence. Record yourself. Speaking aloud and listening back helps you catch small errors and see progress. Write something every day. Start small, and over time your writing will naturally improve. Final thoughts. How to succeed in English learning. To become fluent, you don't need perfection. You need practice and the right mindset. Key takeaways. Balance input and output. Input, listening and reading, builds your understanding. Output, speaking and writing, builds your fluency. Be consistent. Just 15 to 30 minutes every day leads to more progress than studying once a week. Make it fun and personal. Use English with topics you love: music, cooking, sports, anything. Embrace mistakes. Mistakes are proof you're using and learning English. Challenge. Take action today. Don't just learn these tips, use them. Here's a simple challenge to start right now. Speak English for 5 minutes today. Talk to yourself or record your voice. Write 3 to 5 sentences about your day, your opinion, or a favorite topic. Create your own English routine. Combine input and output daily. If you follow this path, fluency is not a dream. It's a habit, built one day at a time.
Want to keep learning?
Here are some resources to help you continue your journey.
Podcasts.
The English We Speak, BBC. All Ears English. Luke's English Podcast. YouTube channels. Speak English with Mr. Duncan. English Addict. BBC Learning English. EPS. Anki, flashcards. Hello Talk, language exchange. Grammarly, writing help. Youglish, real pronunciation examples. Final summary, think in English, key points. English inputs equals listening plus reading. These are the foundation of language learning. The more you listen and read, the more natural English will sound and feel. Use a mix of passive and active input. Passive, background exposure, podcasts, videos. Active, focus listening/reading with note-taking and shadowing. English outputs equals speaking plus writing. These are the keys to fluency. Speaking and writing help you practice thinking in English and expressing yourself clearly. Do it every day, even for a few minutes. It builds real confidence. The balance between input and output. Fluency comes from combining both input and output. Too much input equals good understanding, but poor communication skills. Too much output equals limited vocabulary and poor sentence structure. Follow the 1:1 rule. For every 10 minutes of listening or reading, do 10 minutes of speaking or writing. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Focusing on one skill only. Balance all 4 skills. Listen, read, speak, and write. Relying on passive learning. Turn it into active learning by shadowing, summarizing, or writing. Fear of making mistakes. Mistakes are learning tools, not failures. What you can do starting today. Listen to English every morning, podcast, YouTube, audiobook. Write a few sentences each day, journal, opinion, summary. Speak English for 5 minutes a day, talk to yourself, record your voice. Read short articles, blogs, or books about topics you enjoy. Create a weekly plan that includes both input and output. Recommended resources. Podcasts. All Ears English. The English We Speak, BBC. Luke's English Podcast. YouTube channels. BBC Learning English. Speak English with Mr. Duncan. Books/articles. Graded Readers, newsandlevels.com. Simple Wikipedia. Apps. Anki/Quizlet, vocabulary. Grammarly, writing help. Hello Talk/Tandem, language partners. Final message. Believe in yourself. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about communicating clearly, practicing consistently, and improving step by step. Take action now. Write down a weekly English routine. Start speaking or writing today. Make English a part of your daily life. Stay connected. If you enjoyed this guide or episode, subscribe to Code Your English for more practical English content. Comment your biggest takeaway. Share it with friends who are also learning English. Challenge: what will you do today to improve your English? Final words: small daily actions lead to big fluency breakthroughs. Keep going.
Keep speaking.
Keep believing. Thank you for being part of this journey. I'll see you in the next episode.